It's the Weekly Wrap with your host, broadcasting legend Bruce Wolf, and his trusty sidekick, comedian Tim Slagle. And now, without further ado, Bruce Wolf.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. And now it's my favorite time of the show when we guess what's in Tim's background. Tim, I'm going to guess it's a picture of our favorite, Michelle Randolph, of course, star of Landman and 1923. We love her navel. It's Raquel Welch reconstituted. She's got M13 tattooed above her navel. Okay, she is a terror.
As much as I wish you were right, Bruce. No, I'm here checking out the economic numbers.
What is that? The Lusitania or what ship is that behind you?
I think it's the Titanic, but it could be the Lusitania. Does it?
But it's a Titanic underwater.
Yeah,
on the bottom. Oh, yeah,
the bottom of the ocean. Yeah. Does it really matter which ship it is? It's just the
really, really. Well, and yet, Trump cannot be dissuaded from his belief. The numbers are. Speaking of tanking, I mean. The numbers are tanking right now. But he's surrounded by yes men, Pat Summerall's daughter, Susie Murder She Wrote Wiles, and they just he's not getting information.
From what I understand, the reason why the numbers the GDP dropped is because when you order something from outside the country, it subtracts from the GDP. So essentially what happened when he announced the tariffs, everybody bought that Kia right now, ordered that iPhone from China, bought all those Vietnamese summer clothes they wanted.
Right.
And
I'd like the Miso Horny collection. Oh, yeah.
41% imports jumped 41% in that quarter.
Well, so. Right. We're always going to be able to blame it on something. And you know what? And was it in the Hoover administration when the slogan was "Prosperity is just around the corner"? So, there's nothing. We have nothing to fear but the economy itself, I guess.
What's really going to be funny is that if you remember when we had 2 quarters of negative growth,
right,
during Biden, it's
not a recession.
No, all of a sudden, recession was redefined. It became a new. But I guarantee.
One quarter.
That's going to be. It's going to be. We're halfway to recession if we're not already in one.
Right. Well, I mean, this is going to be the great test because. Here's the thing. Here's what I anticipate will happen. Somehow he'll be checked, either through congressional action or whatever. And then it'll be like when they used to argue, well, communism has never been tried. So he'll argue if it doesn't work, I didn't really get to do what I wanted to do. Thank you for restraining me from tanking the economy. Although
I've actually learned that that's the real Scotsman fallacy. Did you know that?
I may have heard it once, but
it springs from a joke. Is that all Scotsmen love haggis? It's I'm a Scotsman. I never can't stand the stuff. Well, if you were a real Scotsman, right, you'd like haggis.
There you go. So, what do you think about that mineral rights deal?
I didn't. All I saw was something got signed. Have you seen any follow up on that? What was signed?
No, I mean they signed a mineral rights deal with Ukraine. Basically, was what they wanted to have when there was that disastrous meeting in the Oval Office at the end of February. But there's ambiguous security guarantees to Ukraine, and who the heck knows what it all means? What it means is that it's a stalemate.
It means that Zelensky thought that Trump would be impeached by now.
So right when he should realize that it's not going to happen until after the midterms. That as soon as the Democrats get a 1-vote majority in the House, that Trump will face his third impeachment.
Third
he just wants to set a record for all time.
I've lost
Well, no,
count.
he was impeached twice, and
Okay.
he beat both raps. I mean, look, I could have lost count. You know, I'm a little adulterated
Yeah, that's what
myself.
I'm saying. I can't remember
Right.
if it was 2 or 3.
Yeah.
34 felony charges. We
Right.
know
Which
that.
they still, I mean, you know, why should you? I believe him. He had 34 felony charges, but you know, that's like Big Julian, Guys and Dolls. 33 arrests, no convictions. I mean, there was that was a baloney case. Anyway, all right. I don't like to put sports at the top of the show, but Chris gave the go ahead on it because it's more of a social issue. And I'm sure you followed it to some extent here. The NFL draft, where Shedeur Sanders, Neon Dion's son, was not drafted first. He was not drafted second. He was not drafted third. He wasn't even drafted in the third or fourth round of the draft. He was drafted in the fifth round by the Cleveland Browns after they had drafted another quarterback. And the big question, of course, is, are the Chicago Bears a racist organization for not drafting him? Well, I mean, we got to localize it somehow. And your view?
I don't know. Is he good? I mean,
Well, that's the question.
Is nepotism valid in the
That's
NFL?
the question. The conventional wisdom is, notwithstanding the protests of the likes of Skip Bayless and Michael Wilbon and Mel Kiper, the conventional wisdom is that you know, he didn't really have enough to back up all his rhetoric, and he got bad advice probably from his father, and probably just was brought up wrong. Remember, this is Deion Sanders' son. Deion Sanders,
Yeah, I
who
get
was
it.
lectured
I get it.
at home plate by Carlton Fisk when he didn't run out of pop-up. And so attitude is genetic with those guys. And that apparently was what happened here. And the argument from all the NFL teams was, he's not that good. He can't get away with this. Now, my argument is that, oh, come on. This is how you treat the black man. If Eli Manning, who he didn't want to go play for San Diego, I think it was at the time, so they didn't take him. He got to play for the Giants. If Eli Manning does it the right way, oh, the white man gets what he wants. But you know, Shedeur Sanders is because we don't want that attitude from a black man. Well, yeah. then he gets overlooked for 5 rounds practically.
Well, I think the assumption that just because your dad was a good quarterback that you should be one.
You don't know what the hell you're talking about, do you?
No, I don't. No, I don't. Not at all. It kind of seems a little racist. I mean, you got players all the time accusing the NFL of being the modern version of slavery. But I mean, isn't that exactly what the slave sellers would say? Is like, oh, it comes from real good stock. His stud was a quarterback.
Well, look, I mean, if we wanted to get into the weeds,
his dame was a Olympic runner.
The guy was really good. He did have this guy to throw to, Travis Hunter, who was a two-way player. And I'm in favor of bisexuals in the NFL. I'm open to that. But no, there's I thought it would be kind of like a George Floyd moment here. I thought Mayor Johnson would commission a statue of Shedeur Sanders to replace the Irv Kupcinet statue on Bull Mish, but apparently it hasn't come to that. Now, really, what it comes down to is Michael Jordan had said this recently about the NBA. And by the way, I see Paul Lind playing Michael and singing "Kids, What's the Matter with Kids Today?" Because they get the big pay before they're even pro. They're now, as college athletes, they're de facto professionals. They are professionals. So this kid was already had made millions because of the new arrangement with the NCAA. So you have to expect some attitude that way. But I just think it's funny. You do have a number of commentators who are saying this is a travesty that they overlooked him, and they believe there's tinges of racism overlooking him. What's interesting to me, though, is that some of the normally progressive people have not sided with him. I mean, so if you don't get the progressives on your side, there's like this woman, Jamel Hill, who was on ESPN. I mean, she's become Aunt Jamel Hill on this one, and
dear.
and and also, I mean, teams like the Pittsburgh Steelers who need a quarterback, and they have a black coach named Mike Tomlin. Well, he's Uncle Tomlin, as far as I'm concerned, right now. And let's see, are there any more jokes I can wrest out of this?
Yeah, here's the thing. I don't know
Yeah.
football, and I think I
Yeah.
just proved that. I know music. I know music, and
Sure.
you know what?
Yeah.
I do not own a single Julian Lennon album.
There you go.
So
There you go.
I mean,
And
did Julian Lennon ever win a Grammy? I don't think so.
You know, I think he had one or two halfway decent songs. Had to be better than Imagine. I mean, he's not better than the entire John Lennon oeuvre, but I got to think that he's better than Imagine, or anything that Oko.
Imagine is a marvelous song if you can ignore the words. If there was a French language version, that would be a wonderful song.
Yeah, right. Allons enfants de la patrie. Yeah, right. No, but it's an interesting shift in the country because the Democrats had
no deodorant.
right, and armpits that aren't shaved. The Democrats had to take Kamala Harris, but the NFL stiffed SHEDEUR Sanders. And I for one love the league blowing up over this, and yeah, it's funny, but I see that they got rid of the end racism in the end zones, and now it's okay to put down a black man. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. Okay, we were referring a little bit earlier to the downturn in the economy, as Tim's background is the Titanic. I'm just thinking, at one point, so Jeff Blehar kind of put it well, National Review tweet, saying when the store shelves are empty, that's when people are gonna go crazy, and it hasn't happened yet. Verily, I say we now have 467 varieties of potato chip, and my thought is that if we get down to under 200, the Mendoza line in baseball, we will see rioting. Now Trump actually has a corollary to that. He said, okay, so they won't have 30 dolls. They'll get 2 dolls. Meanwhile, McDonald's sales are down in the first quarter. Jim Pethakuka said, well, that's good for Maha, make America healthy again. But I'm thinking, it goes contrary to what Trump has said. We need to have more children in this country because the birth rate is so low. But if you don't have a McDonald's, if you can't afford to go to McDonald's, you're not going to have the kids.
Ironically, if you have the kids, you need to go to McDonald's.
You do need to go to McDonald's.
It's hard to feed that many kids without McDonald's.
Absolutely. The New York Post had a headline about the dolls situation. Said skimp on the Barbie. Which okay. Well, I was thinking.
So Barbie does not need Ken. So I mean, there you go. You can eliminate one doll there.
Well, I was just thinking, going along with that Australian theme there. Ken has nothing down under. So, but anyway, what if, but it's tough to take this from Trump. I mean, if he would just start eating McDLTs, then I could understand it, but he's not going to cut back. And it's really hard when for the middle class to cut back and say, you don't go ahead.
You're saying that Trump doesn't eat McDLTs?
Doesn't seem like it.
Really?
It doesn't seem
no, because why? Is that too healthy? Because it's got the lettuce and tomato?
Have you ever eaten a McDLT? They don't even serve them. It's not even on the menu anymore.
Does it even exist anymore? Okay.
It was the most tasteless of the tasteless. It was healthy.
That the one? Was that the one? Was that the one with the hot on the one side and cold on the other?
And Ben, Chris is saying it was nixed in like 1989.
Oh, okay.
That's how long ago it was.
Oh, okay.
It was. They don't even bring it back like they bring the McRib back every once in a while.
That was their.
But,
that was their version of the Whopper, if I remember right. And then Burger King responded by having the Big King.
No, the McDLT was their version of health food, and it was awful.
What was it?
It was just like a
slice, a quarter pounder with a slice of tomato and a.
It wasn't even a quarter pounder. It was just lean, and it was horrible. Huh. There was no taste to it whatsoever. It didn't last very long. So
do not remember.
I think
McDonald's could jump on the health wagon by frying those fries in beef tallow again.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Chris says it had soy in it. Okay, enough said. Meantime, there's this WGN tweet. I don't know why they're pimping for Portillo's, but in any event, Portillo's has a promotion now: buy one, get one free Italian beef. And I'm thinking, does RFK know about this? Because I don't think he's gonna cotton to that.
Is the Italian beef unhealthy? I've always thought that was kind of because I mean it's all beef. It's lean
beef and
beef. It's got vegetables with it.
8,000 carbs in the bun. Yeah, I don't think RFK is gonna like that. Plus, you got to wash it down with a cake shake. So
not if you get it dipped, you don't need to wash it down with anything. It slides right down like a Joey Chestnut hot dog.
Why are you being such a nattering nap of negativism here, Tim? I mean,
I don't know. You're attacking some of my favorite food here, Bruce.
I got nothing against the food. Let's see. Chris says when he worked at Portillo's in 1990, the fries were fried in tallow. There you go.
I got to go back. It is kind of funny is that they're now saying that seed oils is the worst thing you can eat, which 5-10 years ago, that's all you could eat. That is the most healthy thing you could eat.
Right. It always changes. Well, you remember when fat was considered bad for you.
Right.
And then Atkins came out with his diet and said, "Oh, no, he's wrong. What about our pyramid? You shouldn't have fat, but there's nothing wrong with fat. What's wrong is a ton of sugar. That's for sure. But I just don't like Trump telling the rest of the nation to cut back. Austerity
cut back on dolls.
Cut back on dolls. Cut back on. He's got RFK telling us to cut back on food. I mean, this is the nanny state that Democrats dream of, but because it's coming through the whack job, RFK and Trump, it's not palatable to them. I mean, they're arguing for free trade too, which they never really have been all that much in favor of.
Well, I still like that picture of RFK Jr. on Trump's plane. I don't think it was Air Force One at the time, where they all had Big Macs in front of them, and it was like. To me, that reminded me of like when you go in the mob, you have to hold a picture of your patron saint while it gets set on fire, and you can't drop it even if it burns your hands. That's kind of
fascinating.
I'm going to sit here and watch you eat that Big Mac.
Well, that's good. That's good. It's probably better than what it reminded me. It reminded me of like the end of Animal Farm, where the revolutionary animals sit down with the farmer and break bread, and this is RFK saying, but RFK really has not capitulated. He's trying. I mean, he's actually, and Trump, who knows nothing about anything, is now trying to foster. There's the photo of the fearsome fivesome, I guess, on the airplane with all the McDonald's food. He's trying to get testing done, a rigged test to show that autism is caused by vaccines. even though there's like 16 well-regarded studies that show that it's not.
No, is he still stuck on the vaccine thing?
Absolutely.
I
Autism
thought he was
is
just no. I thought I thought he thought there was an environmental or an environmental issue with autism, and that he wants it researched. I didn't hear him say that he's
Oh, you don't think
got
it's
to
you
be a
don't think he's
vaccine.
saying it's the vaccine? I think
No,
maybe he's leaving it open to a number of things.
number of research. And aren't you
Uh,
curious?
and
Aren't you?
one of the problems is more kids are being diagnosed with autism than ever before. But part of that is because the diagnostics are better than they were before. But
I don't think it's just that. I have several friends with autistic children and severely autistic children, and I don't. There was one kid in our neighborhood that I think was autistic growing up, and now I have several friends that have autistic children. So something's going on. I don't know what it is, but I'd like to find out. I don't
I
think
think he
it's the
just changed
I don't think it's the
neighborhoods.
vaccines. You know, my sister wouldn't let my niece get vaccinated because she was worried about autism. She won't get vaccinated because because adult onset autism.
Wait, your sister? You mean your sane sister who doesn't buy into all your
No, no,
conspiracy?
no, no, no. I got another one.
Okay.
She won't even get her cat vaccinated because she's worried about it getting. Here's the thing, okay? If you had a cat that's autistic, how would you know? They'll kind of act autistic, don't they?
I think
Hey,
so.
don't touch me! Don't touch me!
They're so misunderstood.
You don't belong here.
Yeah, yeah, I totally understand that. Well, yeah, autism and catatonia is not the same thing. So, oh my goodness. All I'm good for is a pun or two, not even an appropriate one.
I just want beef tallow back at McDonald's. That's all. I want that fryer filled. If I have a fillet of fish, I want it fried in beef tallow.
I'll tell you, you're going to get your wish very shortly.
Oh, I hope so.
Well, speaking of, so apropos of nothing, did Pam Bondi say yesterday, was it, that because we kept fentanyl out, we saved 258 million lives in America?
Yeah.
Did she?
Yeah, probably. I mean, they always, when they interdict a shipment of drugs, they go, oh, look how much we kept off the streets.
258 million were saved.
Yeah, which means, yeah.
Of 258 million here, 258 million there. Pretty soon you got a 500 million. Oh, Chris is saying it's how many it could have killed. Okay, right.
Oh, okay.
I see. Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so it's 258 million dead, or 125 million really nicely buzzed. Oh no,
There is a whole
500 million. No, I did my math wrong. 516 million really nicely buzzed.
Yeah, that's a nice spectrum that you have there. Not autistic, of course. All right, Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. So, just did a little survey between segments. If anybody had seen the Terry Moran interview with President Trump, and I don't think any of us have, which means, of course, we're qualified to talk about it. And let me just so it's fun. Well, I like to see the coverage of all these things. I'm very meta. I don't, like I never used to want to watch actual movies. I would just read the reviews of the movies.
Sure.
And just decide, if Ebert and Siskel liked it, then I liked it, except for Rocky IV.
Yeah, I don't think they watched. I don't think they watched the movies either. I think they sent out an intern to do it.
Yeah, they were they were more important than the movies. Yeah. When they got to be more important. Okay, so Terry Moran of ABC News, and I haven't really liked Terry Moran all that much over the years. And there's a rebuttable presumption if you're from ABC News that you're garbage to begin with, but he's had some problems. However, I'm getting the distinct impression that Trump didn't look so good in this interview with Terry Moran. On the other hand, I do have to be fair. There are some people that think that Trump actually cleaned Moran's clock. Now, I will say this. Trump apparently believes that the terrorist who they're trying to he was mistakenly deported to El Salvador, Garcia, right? He's the one with the M13 on his knuckles, right?
MS-13, yeah, Kilmore.
Yeah,
Kilmore Garcia.
M13, MI3. He's in the British surface. No, MS-13. So but that was photoshopped on the guy's knuckles. Well, here's the thing.
Was it photoshopped on or was it photoshopped off? I'm not sure.
No, it's photoshopped on there. Now below that, he did have some symbols that seem to signify the gang, and everybody says his wife, his ex-wife, the gang members, everybody says that he's in the gang.
Did he show his knuckles? Did he show his knuckles when the congressman was there interviewing him?
The picture
having margaritas.
The picture that Trump was showing has it with MS-13. It's photoshopped. Terry Moran tried to point that out to him. Trump didn't believe it. He believed that it's genuine. I mean, this is the guy who believes that Ted Cruz's father was part of the Kennedy. Sure. And I believe he was. That was a bad example on my part.
Has it been definitively established that it was photoshopped on?
I believe so. Okay. I believe so. But in any event, so that's one thing that Terry Moran has him on. The other thing is that, and this I got from Ala Pundit in the Dispatch, is that Moran had pointed out that tourism is down now, and there's statistics all over the place that it's down, and Trump says no, it's not. So but here's the thing. I saw a clip from Hugh Hewitt on Fox, and Hugh Hewitt says, "Oh, Terry Moran his only excuse for doing a bad interview was that he probably was told about it 5 minutes ahead of time." So I don't know how Hugh Hewitt pans Terry Moran, who actually caught Trump speaking wrongly, but that's the way it is in today's world. In meantime, I got to tell you.
Well, I love that Trump needles them. Trump is what did he say to him? Something to the effect of, "I don't even know who you are."
Right. Well, he was trying to give him a chance, because a guy on the B team, and he said the guy's failing. But the problem is that Trump is full of it. But Hugh Hewitt apparently buys into it, and I got to think, because my former partner Dan Proft, he's the morning guy on AM 560, the Answer, and he lately I've seen on Twitter, because I won't listen to the show because I don't like that he got the job over me. Plus, I don't want to listen to all the commercials. So lately he had like an interview with Carol Roth, who I've actually done shows with on WIND, and she's like very much, an establishment Republican economist who's got to be against all these maneuvers by Trump. And he interviewed her. I don't know if he attacked her or not. I doubt it. And also, I thought I saw a tweet of his recently where he was upset, that some of these people on Fox, I think it was, maybe it was on another station, get to pontificate about economics and they don't know anything and he knows a lot. Him having named his dog Hayek, I think. So here's the thing. I'm thinking, Dan, I think they may need to purge him. And have Hugh Hewitt be syndicated, because Hugh Hewitt is on all over the country in the mornings, and Dan should probably leave. And Hugh Hewitt should take over. Now, I do have an idea. I think Dan Proft should team up with Dan Bernstein, who just got fired by The Score. I think we talked about this. He caught a fish and he got fired. It's too funny. He got into a fight on Twitter with a guy and threatened to dox his children. Now, here's the thing. It's not so bad. I think the guy's kids are adults. So, let's not get crazy about this. He was doxing adult children, but he got fired.
How old of adults though? It's, because I think childhood goes
old enough to get
into the 20s.
Yeah. Old enough to get married in Kentucky or Tennessee at least. No. So, I just thought that was interesting, the Terry Moran thing. Now, speaking of the media, Did you see this happen on 60 Minutes? Scott Pelley, who's so authoritative, of course. You got to believe anything he says. He's got, the distinguished hair and the great voice and all that. At the end of 60 Minutes, they said that this longtime producer, I think his name is Bill Owens or whatever, was leaving the network, leaving 60 Minutes because he could not take the interference anymore from the ownership that seems to want to have a merger approved between Paramount and whatever, and so this woman Redstone, who's like the widow of Sumner Redstone, I think, who owned the network, and so she said to cool it on anti-Trump stories. Now I heard another story that apparently 60 Minutes was very anti-Israel, pro-Hamas, and she didn't like that at all. So I don't know that we're getting the truth from Scott Pelley on why this producer left 60 Minutes.
I think he probably left because the security guard handed him a Xerox box.
Really?
Yeah, so
Okay.
time to go.
Okay.
Time to go.
So, now speaking of CBS, there on their Sunday morning show, which is supposed to be sleepy Sunday morning, Bill Belichick, the coach of North Carolina, former New England coach. You might know him from his 24-year-old girlfriend. Have you seen that? Yeah, that's how you know him.
Yeah, I call him the golden hope for every ARP member.
Right. So apparently they had an interview, and it was a disastrous one. That says Barstool Sports. It was even worse than what aired. They had to cut 30 minutes from it, and Jordan Hudson, that's her name, stormed out in the middle of it and expected Bill to follow her. Apparently he got upset when they started asking questions about how they met. And the thing is that this woman seems like it's difficult to get a handle on her, because I read, well, she's just an escort. But then on the other hand, she's very manipulative and is actually running the show. So I'm just wondering if I'm willing to say she's an escort and a delicious dessert topping and bottoming, if you look at, but it's difficult to know, but it sounds like she's running things, which makes her intellectual,
which is expected.
I guess so.
You marry a beautiful young woman 1/3 your age.
Yeah,
you give her anything she wants. I mean,
but it's like she's running the business. She's running the show, which is which I give her credit for, because that means that she's shrewd and intellectual and hot. I see a Nobel Prize around the corner for this woman. It's just It's, one thing if she were a dumb blonde, but she's not. She's kind of a manipulative Machiavellian brunette, and
there's a meme going around that has a picture of the two of them, and it says, "Show this to your young son, and tell him this is the reason why you want to study really hard in school. Then show it to your daughter for the same reason."
I saw another side-by-side pictures of Bill Belichick and her in like the year 2000, and he's like this young coach on the cusp of winning all these Super Bowls, and she's an infant. She's just, she's like 3 weeks out of the womb. It's pretty good. So let's very quickly here, let's talk about who the next pope is going to be. We have Dustin Grage tweeting, and I'm sure other people have done it too. I just love it. It was too funny to believe that one of the possibilities for pope is a guy named
Sickle.
Close. Do we have that Dustin Grage?
Paris.
But it would come out to Pope Pizza Ball or something like that.
Oh, the Pope Pizza.
Pope. Let's say. Oh, here it is. The front runner to become the next pope is Pier Battista Pizzaballa. We could have Papa John Pizzaballa. So
the Pope Pizzaballa. That sounds like something they'd advertised late night on TV in the 70s. It's
all I can
say. Get the new Pope Pizzaballa.
Yeah, and even the guy, he actually looks like a little like Father Guido Sarducci. I'm saying that Father Sarducci is sitting in awe over this when when life is funnier than his art. Um. Anyway, oh, did you see? We've got this tweet from Oil London, from Meghan Markle. She's saying she's writing up all these emails so that she can give them to her kids, so they have them when like she's long gone and they could read her emails years from now. And
Yeah,
I'm thinking,
I think
because
she's
kids just
basically
love
just
going through their parents' garbage. They just
I,
love going through the parents' garbage, don't they?
I think basically she's saying I'm not suicidal.
Oh, I see. There, that was the sub rosa tweet right there. All right, where are you going to be, Tim? Can we plug anything?
No.
Nah. Okay. All right. All right. We had our obligatory Michelle Randolph mention a little bit earlier. And tallow fries. We did forget Don Lemon, but we'll have him next week. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the weekly wrap. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the weekly wrap.
This is almost like a bonus block because you didn't know we were going to do it. You were doing
Yeah,
you were doing the wrap up in the
you
last
know
one.
what? I think I had enough. Whatever. Let's call it a day. So, have you seen the TV series Hacks at all? Are you aware of it?
I have not. I have not
Do you know?
seen
You know
it.
what? You know? Are you aware of it?
Yeah, it's about comedians, right?
Yeah, right. I mean, it's right up your alley. Maybe it's a busman's holiday if you saw it. It's, I mean, a little bit of Mrs. Maisel, a little bit of, or Maisel,
Sure.
a little bit of Joan Rivers. It's, about this 70-year-old comedian who's an egomaniac, and she has a writer who is, I want to say bilateral, bisexual. They're coming up. They've got season 4. We're in the middle of near the end of season 3 right now. My wife and I enjoy it. They have the obligatory. I always want to trust the tale, not the teller. First of all, the sop to environmentalism. Well, the writer is very thoroughly modern, Gen whatever it is right now,
Sure.
and it totally believes the planet is dying and will constantly remind you of how politically correct she is and how everybody else isn't. And of course, she does admit that she's a little bit of a hypocrite, but it's still the lecturing that goes on. At one point, they're in the forest together, and and the young woman is talking about rattling off statistics about all the species that are dying and everything like that. And the problem is that the old comedian, played that by this really fine actress. I think her name is Jean Grey. Is that? I'm not sure. But she's very good and pretty and very talented. Jean Smart, excuse me. So, but she doesn't have a response for it, really. I mean, it's not like she goes, well, did you read the Bjorn Lomborg cover story in National Review on what's going to be happening by the end of the century? We're not really going to suffer all that much. I mean, there are arguments against this wacko environmentalism, but nobody gives it. Now, then there's another segment where, oh, yeah, they show her with her bisexuality. Interesting. She's got this girlfriend who's really hot, and she's okay looking, and they're half naked in a bathtub together. You know what I want to see? Where's the 250-pound lesbian? And how come you don't see that? How come you see the really hot one with her who's kind of cute? You don't see and God forbid nobody's ready for Dylan Mulvaney. No way.
There was a King of the Hill where Cotton was talking about, they're talking about LGBT issues and says, you know anything about it? And it's like, yeah, I know a lot about lesbians. They order a lot of pizza and their cable's always going out.
Yeah, I mean, and then and she's at
lesbians are, if you watch TV, all you know about the alphabet community is that lesbians are really hot and gay men never have sex. They just make randy jokes about it.
Yeah. So And then the old comedian, the 70-year-old Deborah Vance, gets to meet her heroes, who are all these, like old Vegas comedians. It looks like the Rat Pack,
Vegas,
fossilized.
Vegas or Catskill.
Well, whatever, it's the same difference.
Right.
And they're all there with her, and these are her heroes, and they make some crack about bisexuals. Oh, don't they know what they want and all this? And it's not. It's a straw man argument. Like, you can. There's no legitimate argument against bisexuality or what. And of course, if you pressed the showrunners on the issue, they probably wouldn't have a legitimate argument against Dylan Mulvaney, but I don't see him becoming a major character on the show. So, but you know what? Still funny. There's a lot of good bits in there. It's just, I love when these shows act like they're avant-garde, and really they remind me of the Rolling Stones a lot. Everywhere I hear the sound of Margaret, George, and Leroy, London School of Economics, Mick Jagger, corporate singer Mick Jagger singing about rioting in the streets. So
the thing that's always bugged me about the Rolling Stones, they're pretty much from the same era as the Beach Boys. And the Beach Boys acknowledge that they're an oldies band. Rolling Stones still like to pretend they're in rock and roll. And they're not. They're not. Nobody's bought a Rolling Stones album in the past 50 years.
Right. Nobody would want
Unless
that.
your old one wore out because the needle went bad.
Hey, can we talk about Rick Kempfer, our friend? Did he substitute for you once here? He wrote this book about the Loop, the station that I wrote. So we use that as an evergreen. No pun intended, because Evergreen Media was the name of the parent company at one point, and only I would know that. Anyway, Rick Kempfer has a tweet. He's Chicago radio ratings. WBBM News Radio rules the airwaves in Chicago, and he tweets out this Radio Insight look at the ratings. I actually looked inside to look at the ratings breakdown, and the big battle is between WLSAM streaming and WLSAM radio. Streaming is really coming on, and by streaming, I'm talking about the number of times a typical WLS listener gets up in the middle of the night. So, but actually, streaming is almost the same as and I'm surprised that a station like that, the people would be enough to use a streaming device instead of their old Philco radio.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. If new radios no longer have the AM band on it, were you aware? It's hard to find.
I know that. Yeah, I know that keep them in the cars, to keep AM radios in the car.
Right, they want to pass a law to keep them in the cars. But if you buy
was that if the air raid sirens go off, they have the emergency signal.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with conservative talk. Sure.
Okay, I'm losing you.
Chris? Okay. Here's the thing. They want to get rid of it in cars, but they've already gotten rid of it on over the shelf. If you buy like a boom box or something, or a clock radio, it will not have AM. It will no longer have AM on it. And the reason why is that they have USB jacks, and if you plug your phone into it, the noise that the USB will make talking to your phone will cause static. And it's a very expensive receiver that filters all that out. Same thing with the cars, especially electric cars. It's almost impossible to put an AM radio in an electric car because, you've run a power drill or a vacuum cleaner near an AM radio. You know what it sounds like. I mean, that's essentially an electric car. It's the same thing.
That is so sad. I mean, AM radio. I mean, that's
I know.
That's my roots.
You know what they could do is they could start broadcasting FM broadcasts over the AM band, and that would eliminate the problem. But Most kids these days don't
'Cause
even know how to turn
about
on the
my
radio.
start.
Pardon?
Exactly. You know how I got my start, right? In radio.
No.
I told you, didn't I?
I don't know how you got your
In the
finish in
19
television either. And so we never finished that
We'll
story.
get to that one of these days. We'll get to that. I think I told you in the 1940s. In the 1940s, I was Jack Benny's sound man. That I would make
Yeah.
the sound of his trousers chafing against each other as he strode across the stage.
Can
So
you still do it? Have you still got it? Have you still got that talent there, sound man?
I don't. All I can do is the sound of something opening. That's it. That's all I got. That's the only sound effect that I have.
I can do a drip every other time I try.
And I see that my signal is crapping out too right now.
Yep.
Power through.
I will. Ready? Okay, let's go. So we did mention the SHEDEUR Sanders situation, and there was speaking of AM radio, which nobody even has anymore, apparently. Score.
George Soros has a lot of AM radio.
Right, and I like to call the station in Chicago 70 the Scoros. Score.
Yeah.
So they named this woman Layla Rahimi the replacement for Dan Bernstein, and it's the first time a woman is leading a major day part show after a third of a century of the station's existence. And it's considered the progressive sports station because they all have these radical views. And I was just hoping that a good way of inaugurating the broadcast right after the Sanders debacle with the NFL would have been for them to claim that it was racism on the part of the NFL, including our beloved DEI-loving Chicago Bears, for not drafting Sanders. I don't know because I don't listen.
Come on.
It doesn't really matter because nobody's got an AM radio.
To bring it all
Bruce,
did you
see
circle.
Bruce, did you see a giveaway at the Sox in a couple of weeks? Is a transistor radio that just has the score on it, so you can listen to the Sox.
Did not.
Wow, that's like North Korea,
But the score doesn't have the Sox.
All right, ESPN, whatever it is,
ESPN 1000.
It's only gets AM 1000 on.
Wow,
that is very Kim Jong.
All the radios when they came into the country, they'd have to solder them so that they'd stuck on one station, and it's actually punishable by death if you're caught with a radio that you can change the station
well,
on.
At least we have the internet connection some of the time. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap.
And that's the Weekly Wrap on radio and television. Follow Bruce at Bruce Wolf Shy on Twitter and Tim at timslagle.com. The Weekly Wrap with Bruce Wolf, a CP Pods production.